Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yep, what's good, original crew, man? We're back today, baby. Today's video, man, we got the NBA star who killed a mother of four. I think we use the term NBA star loosely. Would you consider anybody who makes it to the NBA an NBA star?
Not necessarily.
Yeah. I wasn't necessarily he was a decent player. I think he had a lot of potential, but I don't consider him being like an NBA star. He had a lot of potential. He was young. Because I remember when he first came into the league, you know. But we was talking about this not too long ago. You know what I'm saying? I had kind of gave you the backstory. Do you remember? Just say no.
I don't know if no, I guess not, yeah.
We gonna get it right. Hey, man, with that being said, before we get into it, make sure y'all check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go if you want to first support. All you gotta do is check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's visuals,
like it in with a thumbs up.
It's gonna hit your memory. I'm saying you're gonna be like, oh yeah, because we were talking about it. I want to say like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I had kind of gave you the rundown, but I can remember all the details. So I saw this video and said, oh, that'd be perfect.
Okay.
But I thought you... Let's go. Let's check it out. Let's see what's about. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's get it.
People go their whole life dreaming about getting their shot in the limelight. Whether it's an artist, entertainer, businessman, or athlete, there are millions out there who feel that if they just got that one lucky break, they'd seize hold of it and never let it go. But for this former first-round NBA draft pick, he decided to let it slip through his fingers in favor of guns, drugs, and violence, which eventually spiraled to the point where he spent what should have been the golden days of his player career behind bars. It's your boy Luesta, and welcome to my channel where we break down some of the wildest and darkest stories in the NBA. Today, we're delving into the story of Javaris Crittenton, a top NBA prospect charged with murdering a mother of four. Now, don't get it
Do you remember?
Kinda, yeah.
twisted. Javaris wasn't one of those kids who looked doomed from the start. Despite growing up in the projects of Atlanta, he initially showed no signs of falling victim to the streets as a young man. While a lot of his peers got caught up in hustling or running the streets for their crew, Javaris stayed locked in on his books and his basketball dreams. All throughout his teenage years, Javaris spent countless hours in the gym, eventually becoming one of the standout players on Southwest Atlanta Christian Academy's basketball team. From early on, it was clear Javaris was built for greatness. And it didn't hurt that he shared the court in high school with none other than future NBA star Dwight Howard. By his senior year, Javaris wasn't just dominating on the court, but he was also named Mr. Georgia Basketball, voted class president, and earned McDonald's All-American honors, with top D1 schools lined up hoping to sign him. Eventually, Javaris took his talents to Georgia Tech, where he wasted no time making an impact, averaging 16.9 points and 6.2 assists in just 11 games. The school's own website even called him the most highly regarded point guard to enroll at Tech since Stephen Marbury in 1995. This is something that he backed up on the court as well, dropping a career-high 29 points in a game against Florida State. Even though Javaris had plans to study business, his talents on the court was too big to ignore. So after just 1 year at Georgia Tech, he made the call to enter the NBA draft and go pro. Looking back now, you can't help but wonder how things might have played out if he stuck around, kept his head down, and finished school instead of being handed.
No. Like it's like when you saying stuff like that, you looking at it as a future outlook of it. You know what I'm saying? But at the time, players coming out of high school, he did go to school with Dwight Howard. Like you got players that's coming out of Atlanta at the time, Lou Will, Dwight Howard. I know somebody. Left hand, play for Atlanta. Damn, I can't think of his name. Is it Josh Smith? Yeah, Josh Smith. Like you got all of them was one and done or came out of high school. You know what I'm saying? And when you talented, you go, right. You don't wait, because sometimes you like, if you wait, say for instance you get hurt, you blow your knee out. You know what I'm saying? There's no opportunity then. Especially back then, it's when you got the opportunity and people like, hey, you talented enough to go, one and done might be in the way. You know what I'm saying? Derrick Rose did 1 year in high school, went pro. Like, you got
1
players.
year and what?
I mean, in
I
college.
was gonna
Did I
say
say high
what?
school?
Yes. I'm like, what?
It ain't that serious. It would. You could just say
No, I'm like, was that a thing then?
No,
Like,
no.
I'm like, what?
But
What you talking about?
you got players who one and done out of college all the time. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't say like he should have, like, what if he just stayed and got a degree? It's plethora of people who you can't just put that on him, you know.
Things might have played out if he stuck around, kept his head down, and finished school instead of being handed fame and fortune before he even hit his 20s. Because as you will see, the fast track to
Because you got a lot of players who get handed fame and fortune at 18. You got Tracy McGrady, who came out of high school. Kevin Garnett came out of high school. Kobe Bryant came out of high school. It's plethora. Kevin Garnett.
You know what I said?
Did I say him?
Yeah.
But you got a plethora of players who, you know what I'm saying, like, before they even 20 are rich and famous and got to stardom. So we can't just look at one non-success story and say, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, because there's too many success stories. Like, he had a failure, yeah, but I don't think that's what it is, though. You know?
His success came with a dark price. But in interviews from around that time, he made it clear that his mind was made up, saying he talked it over with his family and coaches and believed it was the perfect time to chase his NBA dream. He explained that staying in the draft and signing with an agent would allow him to focus fully on basketball without worrying about the financial side of things. Although he was young, Crittenden thought that he had plenty to contribute to a professional team and believed how he played meshed perfectly. Despite his age, he felt confident that his game was already built for the NBA. He described himself as a playmaker who can run an offense, score when needed, and had the skills to handle pressure, beat defenders, and finish at the rim. Though he admitted he still had a lot to learn. And clearly, NBA teams saw the same potential. After his name sparked a lot of interest, Javaris was about to be taken from the South out to the wild world of California. At the 2007 draft, he signed a $2.6 million deal with the Lakers once they selected him in the very first round, 19th pick overall. If you don't remember the caliber of player that was on the Lakers in 2007, let me remind you. We're talking about Derek Fisher, Jordan Farmar, Lamar Odom, Sasha Vujacic, and of course, Kobe Bryant during a season where he would later be named as MVP. That's a roster any young player would dream of being around. With millions about to hit his bank account, Javaris had everything in front of him, and at first, he came in as a humble rookie, eager to soak it all in.
I learned a lot, learned that this is a business. Certain things, you learn the hard way. I just learned that, this is a business. You have to come in and be professional at all times. You come out and just work hard.
But soon, all that talk of professionalism would seem painfully ironic when he'd soon become one of the league's most infamous ballers turned criminals. Even though the Lakers welcomed him with open arms, Javaris struggled to get playing time, especially with Kobe playing at an MVP level. And while he tried to make the most of his minutes, it wasn't enough. And the tension started to build between him and coach Phil Jackson, who told the LA Times in early 2006 that he's got to be patient. And he's not a patient young man. Just 3 months later, Javaris and Kwame Brown were...
I think some players do come into the league, like, especially when you come in young, you're so used to being like that guy. Especially like in high school, you that guy. And then you go from to college, you that guy. And you one and done. And now it's to go to a franchise like the Lakers. And at the time, you got Kobe, you got Lamar Odom. That's a successful team.
Facts.
It's hard to tell a young guy who's been that guy to take several steps back. Yeah. Like, just imagine you've been whatever you want to do in life. Like, you could want to be a doctor, but you known to be always the smartest kid in your class, and then you go to your university and you're the smartest kid in your major for your university, right? Now you go to get your doctorate degree, and now you're not the smartest anymore. That's mind crushing for a lot of people.
Yeah, it can be.
I'm used to being the top of the class.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, and that's the reason. What you finna say?
No, I was just gonna say. I feel like when you in certain like professions like this or like what you know the example you gave, you do have to kind of mentally prepare yourself that there may not always, but there may be someone better than you or someone that has more experience than you or have already established like this is my role. And I get that it may be kind of like mentally crushing, but at the same time, you have to understand also the type of team you're going to as well.
And that's the reason why, like, players like him, I much rather see them go to a team that's rebuilding than going to a team that's already established.
Yeah.
And I'd rather more seasoned players go to teams that are already established.
Yeah.
Like, that team, the Lakers at the time should have went and got a guy that was like a third, fourth year player already. Somebody who understands how to play your role.
Yeah.
He had to be on a team where like, I can come in and still be one of the top guys on the team because that's I've always been, you know what I'm saying, at the echelon, and I'm a one and done type player. You get what I mean? Because when you go, especially so young, it's like reality check. And some people can't get the reality check.
No.
But also, I don't know if he's going to speak on it. Coming from Atlanta, going to LA is so young.
Yeah.
Especially it's so young.
Yeah.
It's the off the court you got to learn how to deal with.
And
especially if you're not surrounded by those people who would take you under their wing like for real. Especially a city like LA with the off court potentials that you got from, you got jump offs, but you got street activity.
Yeah.
And
you have to also be willing to take in whatever like advice or whoever trying to take you under their wing, because we do know, you know, when you super young and you start to get money and you like, you know, start having that notoriety and stuff like that, or you have it but you have even more, now you're on a different level. It's kind of hard to like, not necessarily, the word that came to mind was tame, but that's not the word I'm looking for. But it's kind of hard to, I guess, guide somebody so young. And it's like, I mean, like, cool, I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to still do me. You know what I'm saying? So,
because especially when they,
so much.
Especially when they always been a star.
Yeah.
And everybody has always told them, yeah.
Yeah.
And then now this vet coming to you, nah, young fella. Like, man, who are you to tell me nah?
Yeah.
But I do like how nowadays you do have the veterans, like the ones who have retired, that are out here doing a podcast and telling people, like informing the young people that, hey, I've been a star before.
Yeah.
But just because my number doesn't, and the NBA doesn't reflect it, just know everybody has to come into and play a role.
Yeah.
You got to understand your role, and you got to execute at your role.
Right.
Everybody can't be the star. You used to being a star in high school and in college, but you come into the NBA, you might be the 10th man off the bench.
It's a different world.
Yeah, it's a humbling experience, man, and a lot of people don't know how to deal with that.
Shipped off to Memphis in a trade for Pau Gasol. But even after the move, his heart was still in LA, and that city would soon become the place where he'd lose himself completely. While getting some much-needed downtime during the off-season, Javaris was in the club one night where he saw none other than Decatur rapper Dalla living the high life. Eager to strike up a conversation and get in on that lifestyle with a fellow Georgia boy who made it out, Javaris went over there and soon realized that Dalla, who would be murdered in 2009, was hanging with his affiliates in the Mansfield Gangster Crips. In fact, the rapper, best known for the track Who the F Is That with T-Pain, had Mansfield tattooed on the inside of his right index and middle finger. And instead of realizing that he had too much to lose, Javaris, who grew up around people caught up in that life but always kept his distance, made the strange decision to start hanging out with them anyway. And after a few nights out together, those casual hangouts turned into something more. Javaris eventually got so close to the crew that he officially joined the gang. As one Mansfield's Crips member, T-Lock, said in an interview with Fox Sports, Javaris saw the glamour, the way we move. People are attached to that. That's the powerful part. We got a lot of people associated with us, and they got genuine love for us. And not on some bully gangsta shit. Legitimate, like a family. And because of who he was, an NBA player with fame and money, he didn't have to go through the usual initiation to get in. According to LA gang expert Alex Alonso, he basically got a free pass.
No, he had to buy his way into the game. when you really think about it, that's what it was. He had to buy his way into the game.
Yeah.
That's sad, bro. But I did know about, you know what I'm saying, his involvement with all that. But when you haven't had to indulge in that, why? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But also, he's so young. Now he got all this money. He's also trying to keep up with the rapper lifestyles.
Yeah, it's coming to me now. I think I know.
Yeah. When you trying to keep up with the other rappers' lifestyle out there that you...
But it's so crazy. It's like, okay, you in this life doing what you doing, whatever, cool. I understand that he comes from, you know, this world and this neighborhood and, you know, this environment and stuff like that. But you have, you know, created this outlet in this lane for yourself and you've made it in a different aspect. And, you know, and you getting money. You getting money over there doing what you're doing. I'm getting money over here. Why we got to collide the two? Like, why can't you just, you know... I do understand for some people... I don't know what it is, but I feel like some people feel like, oh, the grass is greener on the other side. When I'm like, you doing very well for yourself, like in the NBA and getting I don't know how much you was making at the time, but you doing pretty well for yourself. Whatever. Why do you want to go backwards?
Because you know how when young people get this money, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm out here on the Lakers. Mm-hmm. It's the Lakers, right? Mm-hmm. I'm young. I'm 19, 20 years old, right?
Yeah.
I got a plethora of money.
Yeah.
LA is the city of stars. I'm associated now with the Lakers with Kobe.
Yeah.
And the highlight, like, you partying. You like, hey! Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I don't think LA is a good place for a young cat like that. You would get, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But also, you got to realize what's going on now with LA. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You like, I don't know what you talk about.
Oh,
think about what some of the people that got arrested lately. The extortion. This shit ain't just now started happening.
Yeah.
Just imagine how many people. Yeah, you part of the game, but you paying to be a part of the game. Mm-hmm. Low key, you getting extorted.
Yeah.
They might not view it like that.
But that's what it is. And
then now you get caught up in that world.
Yeah.
And that world is just soak you up, leave you dry.
The allegation is that Javaris was walked into the Mansfield Gangster Crips. What does it mean to be walked into a gang?
Well, there are a few ways you could join a gang. The typical way, or the most common way, or I would say the most popular way to join a gang is to get jumped in. Where you get beat up by a handful of people for a few seconds or a minute. And another way is to get walked in. And walked in just means you're accepted without getting jumped in. And you're accepted because someone vouched for you, or you became friends with someone, or maybe you have an older brother who already is a member of the gang.
His status as a star was likely responsible for him avoiding this ritual. And even as he made his way to other cities to try and pursue his basketball career, he and his cousin Scooter, who moved to LA to be with him, kept in touch with the Crips. On May 18th, 2009, rapper Dollar was shot in the back and shoulder in broad daylight at the Beverly Center parking lot in LA, all over a scuffle he'd gotten into a few days back earlier in Atlanta. The man who pulled the trigger was later found not guilty, claiming it was self-defense. But even after the man who inspired to get him into the gang lost his life in violent fashion, Javaris persisted with his connection to the crew, even getting his affiliation tattooed on his skin in the form of a twisted up hand displaying a C gang sign. But while things were going south in his personal life, they started going wrong on the court too. Suddenly relieved of that focus that he always had, the young NBA rookie couldn't make good on his early promise. At first, things were going really good in Memphis. Javaris even dropped a career-high 23 points in a game against the Knicks. But before he could get settled, things would be uprooted once again when he was moved to the Wizards as part of a 3-team trade. Averaging 10 points and shooting over 50% from the field.
But you want me to tell you what, though? Even though he joined the best thing was for him to get traded up out of LA. But I wondered that the Lakers started noticing things, said we gotta get him over far away from the team. Because it's not like you're a star, right? You're not one of the star players. But your affiliation with this street shit can tank the organization.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be a different thing if it was Kobe and you the star player of the team.
Yeah.
They're gonna try to, like, damn, we gotta start putting certain things in order so it won't. But when you're the young player, they get win. Oh, he's starting to do street activity. He start hanging around certain people. Mm-hmm. Oh, let's go ahead and get his ass away from here.
True.
So I wonder, but him getting traded, probably it was the best thing. But I wonder, because once you get a part of that life, and they really get that deep, and if they are starting to get you for the money, they're gonna keep calling. That phone call never stopped.
He took advantage of his opportunities there. However, it would be in Washington that his basketball career would absolutely implode, as his street persona began to creep into his professional world, leading to one of the most notorious confrontations between two players that an NBA locker room has ever seen.
The Wizards began the new year with the NBA's sixth worst record at 10-20. Now come reports from the New York Post and Yahoo Sports, both citing unidentified sources that say Wizards point guard Gilbert Arenas and teammate Javaris Crittenden allegedly drew guns on each other during a recent locker room argument over a gambling debt. The league, the team, and DC police already were investigating why Arenas brought guns into the Verizon Center last month.
On a flight home after a tough loss with the Wizards, Javaris and a few of his teammates passed the time by gambling. Playing Boo-Ray, a popular card game around the league where the goal is to win as many tricks as possible and take the pot.
I mean, these games really get out of control where people are betting Rolls Royces and the such.
Yes.
And, and they're just trying to ruin you. Like, so you got these guys with these massive salaries playing against guys with smaller salaries, who don't have the amount of money they have, and they're just trying to fuck you up, and they're trying to, like you said, take your soul.
Yeah.
But before long, things went majorly left when the legendary Gilbert Arenas got involved. At first, the stakes were too high to catch his attention, but that didn't last long.
If you think about their contracts, it was a very small game. It was a very small game. We were coming from the West, so we were coming probably from, at that time, it'd have been probably Phoenix. It'd have been like, so it's a long flight. A game, $20 a hand, $10 a hand is boring. So I sleep. So I'm sleeping.
As the game went on, Gilbert started paying more attention when he noticed Javaris getting heated, especially when he snapped at guys like JaVale McGee. That's when Gilbert decided to up the stakes and buy in, which only made things worse for Javaris, who grew more frustrated as his chances of winning his money back kept slipping away.
He said, just because you rich, you think you can just come in here and bully motherfucking pots and shit, come in here throwing 1,000 when my motherfucking money is in there, and I'm listening. And now it's funny because so it's like you're laughing now because now I'm in joke mode, so now I'm just gonna sit here and just keep poking. I'm just gonna keep poking. Yeah. So now I'm dealing the card. Boom, 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 boo. Boom, boom, boo, boom, boom, boo. So I'm like wishing he gets booed some more.
That's when Javaris started throwing out threats, and just like that, the game went from friendly competition to something way more serious.
Now we're just going tit for tat. Tit for tat, tit for tat. So I get up off the seat and say, all right, man, I'm going back to motherfucking sleep. Y'all, you broke niggas deal with that shit. So I go back. So now I just hear JaVale and Javaris just going at it. So Javaris like, nah, Gil gotta play. Gil gotta play. He got 3 spades in his hand. He gotta play. What do you? Nah, he's just not gonna get me booed. He's not even gonna know. He's not gonna even do that. So after playing, he walks up to me and he's like, why you like on some real street shit? You're not allowed to do that. What do you mean street shit, bro? Stop this shit. You lost. I was like, nah, man, that's G8. Nah, you ain't gonna be no, you're not gonna do that. I was like, Javaris, listen, bro, I'll shoot you in your face, bro.
Neither Javaris nor Gilbert seemed willing to back down. Things hit a boiling point when the plane landed.
I ain't gonna lie, it's crazy when you tell a nigga I'll shoot you in your face. Mm-hmm. I don't want that shit there. You know what I'm saying? Especially because Javaris, he's surrounded by guys that when he was in LA that would do that. Mm-hmm. Hanging in the streets. So now he done got influenced by it. He like, shit, I done seen my homies and them deal with it that way. What's up then? You ain't finna threat. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Gil also from LA. Mm-hmm. I'm sure he's understands the environment because he's born and raised in LA. So you got two people that's in it's a bunch of ego ass shit.
Yeah.
And if you know who Gil, you know Gil, he doesn't come off ego, but he comes off ego. Mm. You know what I mean? Mm. You like, nah, he come off ego. It's when I say he come off ego, it's the money. He will talk shit about you because having his money.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what you want to call it. Yeah, he do talk about him. But some people like that, though. But, I mean, yeah, he do. Yeah.
Neither Javaris nor Gilbert seemed willing to back down. Things hit a boiling point when the plane landed, and Javaris turned to JaVale McGee saying, "So you just gonna let me lose my money like that? You ain't even gonna be a real one and give me a chance to get my money back? Oh hell nah. This is the type of shit that gets you fucked up in these streets." Gilbert wasn't one to stay quiet either. He fired back, "Javaris, I'll burn your car while you're in it. Then we'll find an extinguisher to help your ass out." To which Javaris replied, "Well, I'll just shoot you then." Gil's response, "Man, I'll bring you the guns to shoot me." Later, Arenas explained that he was simply calling Javaris' bluff. "You say you're gonna shoot me? Fine. I'll bring you the guns to do it," he said. And that's exactly what he did. Gilbert, who owned hundreds of firearms, showed up to the locker room with a bunch of guns. And apparently, Javaris brought one of his own too.
Man, after when he said he was gonna shoot me in the knee, I said, you know what? How about this? If you got them cojones, you know them cojones, them big elephant nuts, I'll bring you the guns. I'll bring you the guns. Cause I'm pretty sure you can't afford it. I'm gonna bring you the guns and I wanna see you shoot me. That's how we're gonna do it. So that's how we finished our argument. So
not only you trying to call me out on my bluff, you calling me a broke nigga too. Y'all can't afford it.
Can't afford the guns.
I'll bring you the guns if you can't afford it.
But also, if you know you ain't got money like that, quit gambling.
Yeah, true. That is true.
I'm not even gonna gamble if I know for a fact I can't afford to lose this money.
Facts.
So Sunday, normal day, we day off, enjoying, all the players are having fun. And then Monday comes. We have practice at 10. I'm usually there at 8 o'clock. Because I do my ritual, I got steam, stretch, do all the dumb stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So I had the guns put on this chair, and then I wrote a note, pick one.
Initially, the conflict didn't spill out beyond the notoriously wild Wizards dressing room, until he threw out the gun and it hit a trainer's foot. From there, the higher-ups of the team were alerted, as too were the cops. Once the word got out, the whole situation exploded. Gilbert ended up taking a felony plea deal, which cost him a $40 million shoe contract. On top of that, both he and Jarvis were hit with heavy suspensions, some of the biggest the NBA had ever handed down at the time. Beyond that, it's a moment that has lived on, with practically everyone who was connected to the Wizards having a slightly different version of events surrounding it, such as JaVale McGee.
Them two got in, so they like, hey man, they tripping. People telling me like, they going crazy in there. He brought a gun and brought some guns too. And I'm like, what? So I saw I think one of Gil's that was like a gold one. Right. I was like,
Desert Eagle.
In my opinion, I'm like, this is a nice gun. But I'm 22, 20, I think. I don't even remember how old I was.
Right.
I didn't realize the magnitude of what was going on at the time until the media got a hold of it. And I'm like, oh, they might go to jail for this.
Had you ever seen two men get into it and guns are actually displayed?
No, I never seen that.
Nick Young.
He didn't just bring the guns. He like threw the guns, flipped. All you see was guns. They're rolling all over the floor. I'm like, come on, man. People all like, man, what's wrong with y'all? That's what happened. I think because the trainer seen it, and got so scared that he ran upstairs.
And Karan Butler, who wrote about it in his autobiography. Hey motherfucker, come pick one, Gilbert told Javaris while pointing to the weapons. I'm gonna shoot you with one of these. Oh no, you don't need to shoot me with one of those, said Javaris, turning around slowly like a gunslinger in the Old West. I've got one right here. He pulled out his own gun, already loaded, cocked it, and pointed it at Gilbert. Suddenly, the man that was never a thug was threatening to shoot his team's star player, just like the gangsters he now surrounded himself among. On the street, that kind of talk might lead to your premature death. And in the NBA, it did the same thing in its own way. Because after serving his suspension, the Wizards terminated his contract. After joining the league at just 19 years old, his career was effectively over by age 22, having lost it all in a moment of aggression and ego. Javaris is a prime example of things.
But I really feel like, you know what I'm saying, if he don't surround himself with, but also he keep going to teams where it just don't make sense for him. But because even in Memphis, I don't think it made sense at the time. I can't remember. I think they was already loaded to start getting guard like Mike Conley and I can't think of the guy's name, Kyle Lowry. And so you already getting all these other players. He never went to a situation where it actually made sense. Mm-hmm. But also, as soon as he got into the league, he went to the gang shit. he got too wrapped in it. You know what I mean? Most people, especially you came from the hood already, you should already know what it is. By the time 19,
that's what I was saying.
You should already have decided whether or not you want to be in that life or not in that life.
That's what I was basically trying to say earlier. Like, why now?
Yeah.
Like, okay, you got out of that environment. You made it. A lot of people don't make it out. You feel me? You made it out. You making money now. Why?
Even the people you know, around what age do they like start teetering with it?
Teens. Some 12, 13, 14.
That's what I was about to say. Me, it was around like 11, 12.
Around that age.
I started, you know what I'm saying, throwing up signs. Started like kind of looking into which crew you want to be with, like who your friends, what they doing. You like, okay, y'all going that way, I'm going this way. You know what I'm saying? What colors you like? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You start looking into the knowledge and the information about it. Kind of like how in college you decide you want to join a sorority or fraternity. You start looking into certain things, trying to find out the information. But you start that young, you know? Yeah. And you make that decision young.
And like you stated earlier, normally, you know, sometimes you may be influenced by a brother or by a cousin or uncle or whatever the case may be. Someone that you're around.
That's already a part of it.
That's already a part of it.
But if 19, a millionaire?
It doesn't make sense.
But unless you're just a weak-minded person. And a lot of people are, though. A lot of people are.
Yeah, but it's kind of like if you weak-minded now, and I see you've been there. You already been weak-minded, so why now still?
But you know, sometimes in the hood, they tell you the one that's going to make it.
Or do you
get what I'm saying?
True. Or do you feel like now I've made it, I got all this money, now it's like this protection thing?
It can be. If you want to look at it that way, it can be that as well. They like to surround themselves with the street because they gonna keep them straight. Yeah. But his thing, I don't even think that because you wouldn't even went that far. You would have had some other niggas handle that shit for you.
It makes no sense.
And you're not making that much money for me to. You're not that player.
Lived. Like you had so much potential, and we just throw it away because we want to be.
Gang.
I want to be gang. Like what? Yeah.
2. Having lost it all in a moment of aggression and ego. Javaris is a prime example of things going south when a man reacts emotionally instead of responding mentally. With that, Javaris' grasp on the very thing that has always...
And that's why I said, like, sometimes with the veteran leadership, because the vet should have told you, hey, don't even play them card games, bro, because they get dangerous and can, you know? Like, a vet should have told y'all, youngsters, hey, don't, when they doing... You already ain't on a good enough contract to be wasting your money.
His dream began to loosen, and while he initially tried to hold on, he was about to be pulled apart by the street life that he voluntarily entered into. With no NBA team willing to sign him, Javaris drifted back to LA. More specifically, back to the streets and the homies he made in the Mansfield Gangster Crips. Looking back now, the people closest to him see how badly he miscalculated everything. He had a fence around him in Atlanta, said his ex-girlfriend Mia, who'd been with him since his early years. When he came to a different city, it was harder. In LA, he thought he was building a white picket fence, but he was building a black barbed wire one. After serving his suspension, Javaris found himself stuck in limbo. On July 21st, 2010, Javaris had his first serious run-in with the law, getting questioned at his home about his ties to the Mansfield Crips and their possible involvement in a double homicide. The crime in question was the killing of a woman 2 months earlier, who 2 men attempted to commit a drive-by on a member of the Playboy Gangster Crips for another ambush, which left them shot in the stomach. Instead, they struck a pregnant lady, killing her and the child in the process. At first, Javaris denied having anything to do with it and was clearly shaken up when the cops showed up at his door. He was scared to death about the whole incident, T-Lock said. I told him, talk to the police. Just tell them what your involvement was. He didn't have no involvement in it, but police kept sweating him to see if he knew anything. But looking back, this moment was a warning sign of what was coming. Not only would his refusal to cooperate come back to haunt him later, but the details around his case were eerily similar to the crime that would eventually land him behind bars. Following his initial problem with the law, he tried to flee from that life entirely. After a shot at landing a contract with the Bobcats fell through, Javaris took his talents overseas, signing a 6-figure deal to play in Hangzhou, China. There, he dominated the competition for 5 games, but it didn't last. Eventually, he walked away from the deal, hoping to come back in the NBA D-League and work his way back to the top. There, he landed at the Dakota Wizards, where he somehow failed to make an impact. From there, he made his way back to Atlanta, and that's when the street life he'd always kept at arm's length finally pulled him in all the way. And if he thought his career was in danger before, a whole chain of events that began with a robbery in his native land would bring his entire world crashing down. One night, he was out with his cousin Scooter in his native ATL, and as his cousins walked outside towards Javaris' back Porsche, two men emerged and rushed towards them. One looked Javaris in the eye and raised his gun. Caught without any way to escape, he handed over a reported $55,000 worth of jewelry. The robbery left Javaris feeling like he was being targeted, and it would harden him once and for all. According to Fox Sports, his black Porsche had actually been stolen just 2 weeks earlier in Atlanta's Cleveland Avenue area. When police questioned him about it and showed him lineup photos, Javaris brushed them off and reportedly told officers, "I'll handle it." Eventually, Javaris came to believe that the people behind the robbery were part of the Raised on Cleveland gang, better known as ROC. More specifically, he suspected a 17-year-old member named Trontavious Stevens, also known as Lil Tick, who was allegedly the one who actually took his jewelry. Through his gang connections, Javaris reportedly tried—
Is that from the Young Thug trial?
That's where you remember the name from?
No,
or the face?
The face. Let me see. Hold on.
Oh, excuse me.
No, I'm like, why would you use that photo though? You know what I'm saying? But I guess, you know what I'm saying, because he's from Cleveland. I don't know if you know Cleveland Ave. Young Thug, Cleveland Ave. You know what I'm saying, with the whole Young Thug case. But I don't think that's him though. I'm like, hold on, I know that ain't, you know what I'm saying? But could have.
Who was allegedly the one who actually took his jewelry. Through his gang connections, Javaris reportedly tried to negotiate with ROC leader Big Boo to get his jewelry back, but Boo was not interested. Instead, the ROC crew rubbed salt in the wound by posting photos of Javaris' stolen jewelry online. As if things weren't bad enough, Javaris got robbed again just 3 months later.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
I would have been getting up. I would have been like,
oh, they did. Yeah. I ain't gonna hold you. Yeah, they trying.
You have the money.
Nah, no, we don't.
Okay, you should have sold that chain then before it got stolen. You should have did something. I don't think I would have probably went back to.
He wasted so much of them. You got to think about it.
You don't have.
I need to look at this country. You got to think about it though. When he first signed to the league, he's on a rookie deal. These contracts ain't shit when you a rookie deal,
yeah,
right?
myself, I know that.
So now you out in LA. LA is high as fuck to live in, and you got the taxes and all that shit. Then, not only that, you getting extorted at the game. So you having to pay money. They be like, hey, we need money for this. We need money. Then when you took your ass to Memphis, which is a better city for tax purposes and all that. Yeah. And the Memphis, financially, probably was the best. But Memphis got their gang ties and street ties as well. He was going to eventually end up in the street shit. Eventually. If he stayed there. Then he went to DC. You're gambling your money. DC a little crazy city too.
I guess you was
gambling your money. You spending money. You got taxes. You got agent fees. You got all this. That little money you making.
Last long.
Yeah. So all his little prized possessions, his cars, his chain, those are his prized possessions because he really ain't got shit. Every opportunity you get, you fuck up.
Yeah, true.
But they are punking you because. Maybe they heard that you supposed to be the Crip now. Big J Crip. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they trying you. When you was the star coveted player, it was let him, you know what I'm saying? But now you dove into that life. They trying you.
Yeah.
And when he found out he couldn't even claim the money back because his insurance had expired, that's when he finally snapped. By this point, Javaris was bleeding money, and in his mind, there was only one option left. He decided to take matters into his own hands and started plotting his revenge. While riding around with his cousin Scooter in a rented Chevy Tahoe, Crittenden eventually spotted Lil Tick and opened fire on him. But his aim left a little to be desired. Instead of hitting his intended target, he shot an innocent bystander in the shape of 22-year-old Julian Jones. Not long after the shooting, the young mother of 4 was pronounced dead at the hospital. And it didn't take long for Javaris' name to come up as multiple 911 callers identified him as the shooter. As reports later revealed, on August 14th, 911 operators got a frantic call from an anonymous tipster that Crittenden, the basketball player, had shot and missed Lil Tick's brother from a black Porsche, just a few doors away from where Javaris had spent most of his childhood. But in terms of evidence pointing to his involvement, well, this was only the beginning. Before long, police had witnesses picking Javaris out of photo lineups. They also tracked down the rented Chevy Tahoe used in the shooting, finding gunshot residue and Javaris' fingerprints inside as well. Then they raided his home and found an AK-47, a black and silver pistol, and a shotgun, but no high-powered rifle, and as police reported, nothing of evidential value. As for Javaris, his behavior after the shooting raised even more suspicion. He suddenly skipped out on the King of Hoops Pro-Am tournament in Buckhead and flew back to LA. He tried to hide out there until he was eventually caught by the FBI and extradited back to Atlanta, where he was charged with murder, felony murder, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, possession of a firearm during the commission of felony, given false statements, attempted murder, and participation in criminal street gang activity. The news left his family, friends, and former teammates shocked to the core.
Javaris Crittenden arrested last night at the Orange County Airport, the John Wayne Airport, after checking into a flight to Atlanta. The 23-year-old accused of shooting and killing Julian Jones. She's a 22-year-old mother of 4 outside her Atlanta home nearly 2 weeks ago. Detectives believe that Crittenden was actually targeting someone he thought had stolen jewelry from him and mistakenly shot her. His attorney saying that he's innocent of those charges.
Instantly, his famed lawyer, Brian Steele, better known as YSL Steele to some nowadays, said his client was not guilty in the shooting. Mr. Crittenden and I look forward to proceeding to a jury trial, where the jury will be able to hear and see all of the evidence and reach a lawful, just, and proper verdict of not guilty. Steele also disputed the notion that the ex-NBA player was involved in any gang activity. Initially, he was released on bail of just $230,000, at which point it'd be logical for him to put his head down and focus on something else. Instead, he racked up other charges, including selling multi-kilo quantities of cocaine and several hundred pounds of marijuana in violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act. On Wednesday, January 15th, 2014 at 6 a.m., DEA agents, federal marshals, and local police descended on Javaris Crittenden's home in Fayetteville, leading to him being taken into custody once more. Allegedly, the cash-strapped Crittenden had become a drug mule, driving major packages from Atlanta to other locations. After a few delays and setbacks, Javaris was finally set to face trial in 2015. The case was led by DA Paul Howard, who, interestingly enough, had a personal connection to him, as he was the father of Javaris' former high school teammate Dwight Howard.
So he's the uncle.
It's an uncle.
Yeah. That's insane. So you probably been on who you were, been on about you, thought you was gonna be this good, just even like Dwight.
Personal connection to him, as he was the father of Javaris' former high school teammate Dwight Howard. This was a kid with a lot of promise, Howard said. Looking back, I'd have to say there was a lot of pain involved in having to take action because of those facts. At the same time, some of Javaris' so-called gang affiliates tried to downplay his ties to the streets. One inmate, Asfa Abibi, told authorities that he's not from Mansfield, he not in no gang, period. Prior to the trial, cops and investigators began to dig deeper into his ties to the gang and found links to a secondary shooting. This time, the 2010 killing which claimed the life of a pregnant woman, 26-year-old Jana Collins. In this instance, it is alleged that Abibi and 2 other members of the Mansfield Gangsta Crips, Cecile Lawrence and Javier Romero Angulo, were attempting to shoot Kevin Dwayne Green, a member of a rival gang, the Playboy Gangsta Crips, when they missed and killed Collins. Reportedly, Javaris was asked to try and help his brothers in the gang evade the law, and so he booked a flight to LA for Javier, telling investigators that it was merely because his friend didn't have a credit card and that he wasn't aware of any shooting that occurred at the time. Then, he continued to support them from afar, ensuring that their commissary was full. Despite his efforts, Javaris couldn't outrun
what we call that, C's? Extortion. Nigga, you was the money man.
I said, baby, y'all need to stop shooting because ain't none of y'all got no aim.
But yeah, they were just using you for the money, bro. You was not that guy.
First.
run his fate any longer. And in order to avoid a potential life sentence, he took a plea deal for lesser charges on voluntary manslaughter and aggravated assault with a firearm. And in the aftermath, people saw both a missed opportunity and a terrible, avoidable situation. From the Lakers to the probability of serving a long jail sentence. Javaris is the Lakers' most talented rookie since Kobe. Can't believe he went from basketball star to a 23-year-old sentence for manslaughter. Meanwhile, Gilbert Arenas still had smoke for him after his sentencing.
Hey, have you talked to your boy Javaris lately or what?
Who?
Javaris.
Who's that?
Clinton, your ex-teammate?
I don't know.
He just got sentenced?
Mm-hmm.
You ever talked to him?
I don't even know who he is.
Oh, Javaris. Javaris, he used to play with you, no? Gilbert?
Yeah, man, you know Gilbert.
No. I'm talking Javaris, bro. What are you talking about?
I don't know. What year was this?
It was when you were on the Wizards.
That was so long ago. Ah,
You don't know. Well, anyways, he just got sentenced 23 years.
To be honest, to be honest, I think there's a whole lot of people be getting sentenced 25 years.
Yeah?
Mostly every day, and I don't know.
4 years after Julian Jones' death, Javaris' own life was in ruins. A player once tipped for greatness was now spending his days playing pickup ball during rec time behind bars, all because of a string of reckless, life-changing choices. But in the end, he wouldn't serve nearly as much time as people expected. Thanks to his cooperation with authorities and good behavior in prison, the district attorney agreed to reduce his sentence. But it was on the condition that he would use his story to mentor others and steer them away from the path he took. On April 13th, 2023, Javaris was resentenced to 10 years in prison, which included time already served, as well as an additional 10 years of probation. When the news broke, it left the victim's family devastated. June Woods, the mother of Julian Jones, spoke out. That wasn't fair for the family to not know what Paul Howard was doing, she said. It's not fair to us. It's not fair to her children, what he did. It felt like a slap in the face. If her children had been out there, he would have shot them too. Even Fannie Willis, who you probably know today as the prosecutor leading the YSL RICO case against Young Thug and his crew, tried to block Javaris' release. She filed a motion to keep him behind bars, but it didn't work. Instead, Javaris was handed 20 years of probation following his manslaughter conviction. The terms of his probation came with strict conditions, including 7,200 hours of community service during the first 10 years, all focused on preventing gang violence and steering young people away from the streets. The judge laid it out clearly in the ruling. The community service shall be served at the direction of the district attorney's office and in partnership with organizations like Next Level Boys Academy. Mr. Crediton must be available at all times to meet with and speak to youth, educating them about the dangers of gang life, drugs, and guns, and how those choices can ruin not just their own lives, but their entire community. As a condition of his release, he must speak honestly about his time in gangs, his time in prison, and the consequences of the path he chose. Although he's kept a low profile and is trying to rebuild his life in private, we do know that he has since patched it up with his old enemy Gil, who once claimed that he spoke to him once a week while he was inside. And during a recent podcast episode, he had advice for today's NBA players on how to evade making the same mistakes.
Honestly, some people come up in that environment for real. Like, I was a person that grew up in that environment for real. Come up in a project, I was raised a certain type of way. You know what I mean? So you have to have a separation from that, especially become a professional. You know what I mean? It's hard for young guys, but when everything is going good for you, it's hard to tell who's who.
More specifically for John Morant.
And you're also being misled at times. You gotta think, these guys are 19, 20, 21 years old with $100 million, $200 million. They got a lot of yes men, a lot of tag along around them. So sometimes the influence comes from the outside. It might come from somebody in your old neighborhood. You know what I mean? But what I would tell somebody like John Morant is stay focused, man. You go, he's a world-class athlete, world-class talent. He's reached a level that a lot of people dream of. You know what I mean? Like, my son loves John Morant. When I tell you love him, you love John Morant and Steph Curry, love him. And my son asked me about the situation with him. He was like, Dad, is he in trouble? Is he bad? Like, nah, he's not a bad person. He's the person that made a mistake. He'll look up to him. You've been looking up to him. Don't let anything the media put out, change your mind on that. Still a good person, a great kid. He's just making a mistake.
Now, it seems like Javaris wants the world to know that he's a reformed man, with even some of those who served time alongside him trying to vouch for him. A down-to-earth brother that I truly believe regretted his choices. You told me you would get out sooner than later, and you did. But while that may or may not be true, it doesn't change the fact that it would bring back his shot at NBA stardom. And more importantly, it won't bring back the mother of 4 who passed on as a result of his involvement in gang violence. With that raw potential, Javaris could have been a star. Instead, he's a cautionary tale.
That's how your legacy ends, you know?
Yeah.
Could have went down as one of the greats, but instead, one of the biggest what ifs.
Go a different direction. It's all about choices.
It's all about choices, bro.
Have free will to either go this way or go that way. It's all up to you.
But hey, man, y'all spam us up in the comments. Y'all let us know y'all thoughts about it for us down below. But until next time, y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is
Sierra Nicole.
We are.
Kid and C.
We out.
No time to kick it, got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my power.